Good evening, viewers. You are welcome to Woman Without Limits. My name is Rebecca Kuna, and it's a delight to have you tuned in tonight. I know that God is going to bless you. I tell you, the stories here are hot, sizzling, and amazing, and they are life-transforming. That's what Woman Without Limits is all about. And by the way, on that note, I wrote an amazing book. It's called Woman Without Limits. And it tells you that you can never be limited only by yourself. So get out of your way, believe all things are possible. This book it flies off the shelves. And I want you as a woman to have this in your library, because when you understand that nothing can limit you, I tell you, you are born with a purpose, you will discover that purpose, and you will fulfill it, whether the devil likes it or doesn't like it. In spite of who says you cannot do it, you can. The Bible says you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. So get yourself a copy of Woman Without Limits, and I know God is going to bless you. You can call the numbers on your screen for your copy. So today we have an amazing woman. Oh my gosh. She is making waves. She's doing some great and mighty things in the society. Her name is Nana Wanjau. She is the CEO of Branding Beyond Borders. You know, right now, branding is key. She is the CEO of Branding Beyond Borders. And so I want us to welcome her, because she's going to let you know how she got where she has gotten, so that you also can get somewhere in life. Would you please welcome Nana Wanjau with me? Hey, Nana. How are you?
How close?
Yeah, you can sit right there.
Yes.
And then let's talk. Are you comfortable?
Oh, perfectly.
Completely?
Yes.
Okay. It's nice to have you on the show.
Oh, it's wonderful
Woman
to be
Without
here.
Limits.
It is wonderful to be here.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. So now we know you. I've been seeing you, and you're very strong on social media. I see you a lot on Instagram. I post something, and Nana is there. You know?
When you're trying to build something, you gotta be deliberate. You can't just leave things to chance. So you gotta be deliberate.
Things don't just happen.
No, they don't just
You
happen.
make them happen.
You make them happen.
Come on. Come on now. Come on. Preach.
I can see we have a lot to talk about.
I know, right?
Yes.
So tell us about Nana before you became CEO of Branding and Beyond.
By the way, Nana is... This is nothing. What came before this is who really Nana is.
Okay.
And I'm happy to tell you, you know, about Nana and where I come from.
I have a friend called Nana.
You do?
Gishaga.
Okay.
She's a good friend of mine. I'm wondering, is there any relation at all?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, Nana.
But we are both fabulous Nanas.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So, Nana, in a nutshell, let me start by saying, this is how I describe myself, like on my Facebook page. When you go, I have said, I am made in God's own image, whole, complete, and irresistibly fabulous.
Hey! Irresistibly, guys. Irresistibly fabulous. That's awesome.
I mean, if you're made in God's own image, what else can you be?
Fabulous. Irresistibly.
Irresistibly.
Yes.
God makes no mistakes.
Yes.
So me, I'm irresistibly fabulous in God's own image.
Amen.
Yes, that's me.
I like that. Already we can flow because of that. Because that's what I tell women. That's who you are.
That is who
you
I
are
am.
fab.
Yeah. But I came from a small village called Bukoba. I do not know if you can find it on Google.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. It is on the shores of Lake Victoria on the Tanzanian side.
Oh.
Born to a Tanzanian mother and a Kenyan father.
So they met at the border there?
Apana. Apana. Very interestingly, my mother was the first woman to be sent to University of Makerere. She went to study medicine.
Right.
My father was already there. My father also comes from Lake Victoria, but on the Kenyan side. So he went to study economics. My mother was sent to study medicine as the first female from this little Bukoba village. You can imagine what a huge deal it was.
No, that's big.
They went
That's
there,
big, yeah.
2 years into medical school. Boop, there is Nana.
You became the certificate. The medicine certificate.
Wow. Let me
Wow.
tell you, I'm such a believer that there are no mistakes in life.
No, they're not.
And unfortunately, you can only connect dots backwards.
Right.
When things are happening, you really never know why they're happening.
Right.
Even mistakes can turn out God's perfect image.
Absolutely.
But that time, going
Yeah.
back to Makerere University.
Right, right.
So there is Nana. My mom is expecting me in her 2nd year. And she had me. 2 days into having me, she took me to my grandmother. Took me to her mother. So I was raised by my grandmother, and she went right back to school. And I'm very proud of her because she went right back.
To school.
Went right back, graduated, went and did her master's. By the end, she was huge. She was, I mean, an ops guy, but she got her dream. She never gave up. So, you know, it's whatever happens in our lives, we need to remain positive because it's never the end, even if at the time it may appear to be the end.
Right. Because she was a little girl.
She was a little girl,
Yeah.
and here she is with a pregnancy. And it was a huge disappointment.
Like
not
medical doctor, you could
not
think.
just to my parents,
Yeah.
to her parents, but also to the entire community.
Because first and foremost, it's very costly.
Yes.
You're the first
You're the
woman
first
to
girl we've sent to
remove shame.
university.
And then you go ahead and just
Surely.
shame us. Yeah, I know.
So she had me, brought me back to her mother. And mothers, we are God's gift to this world.
Absolutely.
We are God's gift to this world. Her mother took this granddaughter.
Yes.
What else can she do?
Take her.
And took as her own. I was breastfed by my grandmother. I was,
Where?
yes.
She got milk.
She had to. But interestingly,
Wow.
her last daughter, my grandma's last child, her and I are like sisters because we were very close, you see. So she's only like 2 years older than I.
Right.
So I guess it wasn't impossible to
For
force
her
the
to-
milk to come out.
But I hear,
Yeah.
by the way, a woman, if you take a child and start breastfeeding, somehow, even if you've never given birth, milk will come.
Yeah.
Don't try it at home.
Go ahead. No, women, God designed us
In
for
a fabulous
way.
Right.
We just don't know the power we have. So here I am. I was raised by my grandma. And what I remember of my childhood is a very, very happy childhood. I don't remember the challenges that came with my mother bringing a baby home. I mean, I got to be told as stories how my grandfather was extremely upset, how my grandma had to move from the main house because grandpa didn't want noise, he didn't want this shame, and she had to move out of the house into the kitchen behind, and she slept there with me. That's where we slept, with my grandma, you know. But all in all, time is a healer. Time is a healer.
Did you feel that rejection?
I didn't. At that point,
You were
I
too
didn't.
little.
I was
Yeah.
too little to
Yeah.
feel that.
Right.
My grandpa died early, so I really didn't get to know him that much. So I was raised by a widow by all means. So I don't remember much of my grandpa, but my grandma is now the woman who I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was raised by a widow. That comes with its own challenges, but we'll talk more about that probably. Has a lot to do with what I do even in my community service. But I remember a happy childhood generally because I was my grandmother's purse. She did not leave me.
Wherever she went.
Wherever she went. In fact, we had 2 farms in 2 different towns. Let's say Nakuru and maybe Nairobi, somewhere in
Right.
Nairobi.
Right.
So what she used to do is she used to travel to Nakuru do some farming, sleep there for 3 days, come back to Nairobi, do some, you know, whatever, cleaning, you know, so it was in between. But because we had to shuffle in between, I used to go to 2 schools. At any given time, I was in 2 schools.
What?
Yes, when I go to Nakuru, I go to
No, I've
Nakuru
never had that. Have you ever
primary
had?
school.
No.
I must
That's
be,
deep.
No, I must be the only person in the world.
Ah,
who
honestly?
I've never heard of such a
That
thing.
when you go to a certain town,
When
you,
I
you
go
are
to
in a
Nakuru,
school.
I'm in Nakuru primary school. When you come to Nairobi, you are in Nairobi primary school.
For a few days.
For a few days. For as long as we are in that town, I'm in this primary school. But isn't that powerful?
No, this is special.
No, it's
I've
extremely
never had
special.
it.
It's extremely
Wow.
special but very powerful.
Wow, yes.
It means a woman will make anything work. This child has to go to school.
And I can't leave her behind.
And I cannot leave her with anybody.
Wow.
I cannot leave her with anybody. She has
Wow.
to go to school.
Right.
And whatever it takes to convince those principals that if when I'm here, can she come to school for 3 days? Then when I'm there, can she come to school for 3 days? What does it take to
She's
do
a
that?
very wise woman.
No, she's extremely resourceful.
I would need to talk to her to find out what did you tell them. She needs to be a woman without limits.
Resourceful.
Like, what did you tell them? You know?
She's extremely
Wow.
resourceful, and that for me is who I am. Whenever I'm faced with something, there must be a way out. There must be a way out. And guess what? It does not have to be conventional.
Whatever needs to be
Whatever
done.
needs to be done to make this work, it will work.
Come on, somebody. I love that.
It will work.
I love
It
that.
will work.
So wherever life finds you,
Yes.
you find your way out
I
of
will-
it.
It will work. If my grandmother could convince
2 schools to accommodate you. No,
so
that's
I would
deep.
have 2 uniforms, 2 different uniforms.
Right.
This one is green, this
Yeah.
one is blue. So the days I forgot to carry my blue uniform, I would wear the green one. But I worked like that. And so my life, I knew discomfort. I knew how to operate in an unconventional environment early. Because even as a child, I stood out. I stood out as that child who's here 3 days and she's gone. I stood out as a child who wears the wrong uniform, but somehow she's tolerated.
She manages,
They
yeah.
don't- and they're foreigners. You
Yeah.
know? You're a foreigner because you come from the other town.
Yes.
So you're not really from here. And even where I really came from, I wasn't really from there because they don't really see me either. They see me for 3 days, then I'm gone. So I never really belonged anywhere. And I grew up knowing how to manage these uncomfortable situations.
Wow.
For me, you can throw me anywhere
And you will survive.
and I will
Like a
find my way.
cactus. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, so I grew up with my grandma, and as I said, I remember a happy childhood because she protected me with her entire being. I was everything to her. And for like my first decade, until I was 13 years old, is when I began my transition from my little village, Bukoba,
Yeah.
to now the rest of the world. But I think the grounding of this is who we are had already been instilled in me. The values. My grandma obviously was an extremely and is an extremely prayerful woman, a Catholic but extremely prayerful. So prayer for us was a part of who we are.
The order of the day.
Service is who we are. Even